All right. Well, we're right about the top of the hour. So, welcome everyone to Midweek with Max. I'm Rick, your head of community, joined by several engineers, as well as our co-founder, Max Sanchez, John Greenwood. And today we have a special guest, DeFi Lipe. Is that how I should address you? Do you prefer DeFi Lipe or Felipe?
Either one works. My name is Philip. This is the funny way to add DeFi to it.
I see what you did there, and I greatly appreciate it. So let's kick things off with you. You are a wonderful partner of ours, coming from Satori. And basically, if you could just tell the community a couple things: what your project does, why Hemi, and what you want our entire audience to do right after the town hall ends, that they can actively do on Satori. I'm going to mute and give you the floor, sir.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Rick, for the intro. We're also very excited to partner with Hemi. To sum it up, Satori is a perpdex, a decentralized trading platform. You've probably heard a lot about these decentralized trading platforms, where you can trade any coin you want, like BTC, Ethereum, Solana, etc. Our main focus is that we are multi-chain, multi-liquidity, both for people that know a lot about crypto and people that don't know a lot about crypto. So it's very simple to use. You don't need to bridge anything. You can just trade any coin you want on your favorite chain, and that's a big reason why we wanted to partner here with Hemi. Because as we can see, we have a big audience today. We always want to partner with these chains that have a big audience, help onboard the community into, like, both communities into our protocol. Like, this needs to be a symbiotic system, and it has been like a pleasure to work with the Hemi team. And their mission also correlates with us, right? We also believe that BTC is the future, and having like this BTC and EVM Ethereum on the same platform looks sexy. So thank you so much, Rick, for letting me pitch about Satori. A thing that you guys should know is that we are currently on our season 2 for points. So go grab some points. We are giving out a lot of challenges, a lot of trading challenges, a lot of challenges where you can earn not only points but cash right away. We might have something planned. I don't want to spoil anything, but we might have a really cool trading challenge for Hemi community. Thank you, guys.
Well, that sounds incredible. I know the community likes points, and they certainly like challenges. Where can they find information about this? What's the best hub that they can go to learn all about ways that they can start participating in your project?
Yeah, please check satori.finance is our website, but our main announcement channel is, of course, Twitter. So follow us on satori.finance on Twitter and be the first to participate in the challenges. We always have some prizes for the early adopters.
Amazing. Thank you so much, sir. You are welcome to stay if you'd like, but obviously under no obligation, because this is where we typically transition to Max's update, and then we're going to roll right into questions. Then we have some engineers with us today for some engineering questions, and then we kind of end things with the community section, which kind of devolves into chaos, if you will. So I'm gonna pitch it over to Max now for updates.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it this week, but we have a lot of the team out in Dubai. I think all of the BD team, and then I'm out here with Matthew as well. So got a good team showing for Token 2049, and yeah, a lot of stuff moving. Not a huge update from last week. Still generally the same things being worked on. So we got the Pectra upgrade being worked on. We're going to be doing upgrades to an internal kind of replica testnet, replica mainnet very soon. We got a bunch of tests, integration tests done for testing the upgrade, and that HVM features work as expected, settlement to Ethereum works as expected, so on and so forth. And so that's all looking good. So the next step is to do those network dry run upgrades, both in a testnet equivalent and mainnet equivalent environment. And then, assuming everything looks good there, then we'll be proceeding with the testnet upgrade, the actual real public testnet upgrade, and then doing the mainnet upgrade shortly thereafter. So look forward to seeing that and all the new features that the Pectra upgrade brings. A lot of cool stuff. EVM features, probably the biggest of which is account abstraction. Also some stuff that makes some precompiles that make certain crypto operations, especially for ZK proving, more efficient. So looking forward to getting that deployed in preparation for Ethereum's Pectra upgrade on May 7th. That's now scheduled for. So moving along with that, we also got some open work streams with making node running easier and fixing a bug that we had with the full node sync. So just in the final throes of testing that update and making sure we can do full resync from scratch with all the fixes. So as soon as that clears, we will get that out to any partners who are trying to run full nodes. We also have some more interesting partners onboarding. I don't think, Phil's not here to give an update on that, but we got some exciting things moving in that direction. And I think that's it for the main updates. Like I said, we're a lot of the teams at Token 2049. We just finished up one of our co-sponsored events, which went great. Talked to a lot of existing protocol partners, a lot of new protocol partners who may want to deploy in Hemi, an interesting project doing some cool stuff with cross-chain like state isolation and looking at ways that we may be able to integrate them and they could take advantage of HVM functionality to have kind of expand that technology out into Bitcoin interoperability instead of this segregated state, synthetic state channels of some sort between EVM chains. So lots of interesting stuff going on there. We're also doing another event. If anyone is out in Dubai, we're doing another event tomorrow. It's a brunch that we're co-sponsoring with B Squared, Hex Trust, and Cypher. And that'll be from noon to 3 p.m. So if anyone wants to come out to that, there is I actually don't have the link invite to that handy, but it's probably somewhere on socials or something. we can get the link out for that. I think it's a Luma invite. And with that, I think that's the majority of the updates. So moving towards the Pectra upgrade, working on the daemon refactors, and starting to break ground on some of the fine-tuning and finalization of points on the BitVM or HBitVM, whatever we end up calling the BitVM2 derivative protocol that we're working on. And with that, I will turn it over to Rick and we can power through some questions. And then I have to drop off at the 30-minute mark. And then I think John's also going to drop off around that same time.
All right.
John Greenwood, just to specify, because we have two Johns today.
Aha. All right. Let's rapid fire these then. At Token 2049 in Dubai, is Hemi looking to receive more funding from partners?
Not actively. I mean, we're getting ready for TGE. So in that sense, to some extent, sure. But the main thing right now is really focusing on protocol partners, people who want to deploy on Hemi, people who are doing interesting stuff, people who want to build on top of HVM. So that's, at least from my perspective, that's my main focus out here. Obviously, the TVL side, looking at partners who can bring some liquidity, like stablecoin liquidity, to some of the protocols. It's a mix of things, but a lot of focus more on on-chain stuff, protocols, useful TVL and some of the DeFi pipes and infrastructure.
Sounds good. And because you mentioned the TGE word, when will you release tokenomics info? And why is it taking so long to release?
Hopefully soon. So going back to some previous discussions, we don't want to put out stuff until it's completely finalized, and there's still a few small items on there that we're finalizing from, stuff like the allocations between liquidity provisioning and, liquidity incentives, whether that be community liquidity incentives, post TGE versus, institutional liquidity that's coming in. So there's still a few items that we're fine-tuning and tweaking. So that's why we haven't published full tokenomics yet, as we're still making nips and tucks here and there. But hopefully soon, given that the market is definitely doing better than 2 weeks ago. That's definitely a good sign for a market to launch into. And so we're versus 2 weeks ago, we're definitely trying to get to a token launch earlier rather than later. But until we do have a final date finalized, and again, there's still external dependencies with centralized exchanges, getting the right mix of market makers for the right markets that we have support for on board, and properly incentivized and aligned with the protocol, and vetting out the performance metrics that they have to meet for certain incentives and stuff like that. So a lot of finer points there we're tweaking. All that stuff's progressing and moving along. But yeah, we're definitely shooting for sooner rather than later, given the current market conditions are warming up and looking better than 2 weeks ago. But on the tokenomics side, there's still some stuff that we're fine-tuning, so we don't want to publish anything until it's finalized. We could put it out there, and we know there's not going to be any changes to it. And part of it also applies to the emissions. So we have 7% basically maximum emissions that are authorized by the protocol per year. And the original design was 2% of that would go to people who are running sequencers on the network, and up to 5% would go to pop miners, depending on the rewards that the protocol actually has to pay out to get the right number of pop miners, that target number, in the context of obviously Hemi's own network value, Bitcoin fees, the actual price of Bitcoin, the USD value of the sats that you're spending to do a pop transaction. And in this market, 5% is way more than is needed. So one of the final tokenomics pieces is also deciding on if some of that additional kind of spare pop budget gets redistributed in some way that makes more sense for the ecosystem, like some sort of staking governance incentives, or whether that's just going to get burned by the protocol. And if we're going to do something with additional staking rewards from that excess authorized inflation, is that going to be all of it? Is it going to be some of it? Running some tokenomics models around that. So still a few items to nip and tuck, but I will remind everybody that we did publish macro tokenomics, the main buckets, back when we did the Impossible Finance research report. And so those are still staying true. It's just fine-tuning the basically subcategories of those buckets at this point.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Let's see. I have 4 pop mining questions. Let me knock out these John Greenwood questions first, because we know how this goes. When will the first mainnet Deimos verification phase end and the second one begin?
When will the first one end? Sometime next week. It's been, I want to give as much time as humanly possible. Basically, I've been determining that based upon the amount of active verifications per week from new wallets that have not verified before. That's down to about 1/6 of what it was initially. So, it's still new verifications coming in, but trying to be as fair as possible at the same time. Obviously, time is not unlimited. So I would say we're, team's back next week, early next week. Probably will make an announcement about that mid next week, end of next week, the latest. This first period's over. So that should give you ample time. If you have not yet, please verify. When is the second one? That will probably be a couple of weeks away. So in the meantime, the same points activity still stays, as far as if you want to verify for kind of proof of concept / testing purposes, you can, earn some points along the way. Otherwise, the second period, you will know, we will announce it, etc. So it will not be quite as long as this first one. This first one was to kind of make sure as many people as humanly possible got involved. The second one, definitely want to make sure everyone's verified, but I'm thinking it won't require quite as much time. So definitely will start by, I would say, or I don't want to say definitely, but probably around the halfway mark in May. And then or before. So hopefully that fills that part of it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, sir. Let's see. Why are we still unable to see our points? Many points from staking or LP providing do not show up in Absinthe. Additionally, the staking website shows inconsistent or no points.
So two things. Staking points. I have a single ticket open about that. That's been resolved for about a week now. I'm not aware of any issues with staking related points. So if you have one, by all means, please let me know. And please understand hours if you and a tick, and I have not seen it yet until later tonight, but we'll address that. As far as LP points, as always, that was hey, it's going to take a lot of time to index, but I just posted it in chat. Once I get home for the night tonight, we'll be QCing that, put everything together, indexed everything. Just want to compare. I'm going to basically pick out like 100 random users, make sure that all lines up perfectly before I push it live tomorrow. So tomorrow, my time, so what, about 24 hours from now, I would say, you should have LP points live and active for all pairs that are currently made as of right now. So if something new pops in overnight and you hop into it, I won't know about it until the following day when we start indexing it. Otherwise, you will see all LP points. So once again, question was staking points. Like I said, I'm not aware of any issues on there. That was a weird scenario with users that had approved multiple times. That was actually the reason for that. And then, LP points active in about 24 hours. And is there something else there? Sorry, Rick.
No, I think you covered it. It just said, additionally, the staking website shows inconsistent or no points, but I believe you addressed that.
The staking website, right? So just a clarification on that. And there's a tooltip on there. The staking website shows the previous testnet earned points up until when staking went live, plus new staking points. We'll be updating that as well in order to reflect kind of the grand sum. So we are going back, since I'm talking about points, we are going back and doing a re-export from Absinthe on some of the pop-related points. There was a small subset of users that when you had like many like wallets connected to Absinthe, the export would do a weird thing. So a few users had sent in tickets, hey, I'm not able to see my pop points. We're going to address that momentarily, at which case then the testnet points will kind of get closed off. We'll be able to show those, on, dashboard or on Absinthe, one of the two, or all of the above. That will make that number much clearer. So that number moves every day for me on the staking dashboard. Like I said, it's pulling the aggregate value of whatever your testnet points are, or were, if you have not gotten anything since then for pop, closing out, and then anything from staking since. We'll make that a little bit better, in the coming days, but a lot of work this week on points kind of clarity for users. So hopefully that will kind of clear up a lot of this, make UX much, much better.
Amazing. Thank you, sir. All right. I believe this might be a Max question. Have you applied for any CEXs yet?
Can't speak to too many details, but everything that should be in motion CEX related is in motion and proceeding.
Amazing. When will a roadmap for Hemi be published?
Probably soon. It's been a lower priority item. We have basically an internal version we just got to make pretty. So hopefully soon. As far as the actual main items, I think 2 weeks ago, maybe it was 3 weeks ago during the Tech AMA, one of those we went through a verbal version of it. So it's basically that, but in a pretty format. Also, the version that's on the current website that doesn't have actual dates is just like today, tomorrow, future. Those are still the major items, essentially in the right order. This roadmap will be just providing basically a little bit more detail on what those are, some of the smaller dependencies that didn't get listed there, and actually assigning target quarters for those. But high level, it's basically the exact same roadmap that I talked about verbally 2 or 3 weeks ago. Just getting that into a pretty format we can, distribute as a, I don't know, infographics not the right word, but as a, pretty graphic people can look at instead of listening to 3 minutes of me ramble through tech milestones. But should have that visual one fairly soon, just been lower priority with other stuff going on.
All right. Being respectful of your time, I think you said you got 6 minutes left. So Will there be a Hemi Foundation, and where do you see Hemi in 5 years?
Yep, there will definitely be a Hemi Foundation. As most crypto projects these days, it's basically a way to, grant programs, invest in third parties that are building the Hemi ecosystem, invest in third parties that are contributing to the Hemi, core daemons and protocol in the future when that's something that we're starting to see energy behind. So definitely, yes, there'll be a foundation. And then what was the second part? Oh, where do we see Hemi in 5 years? Hemi is an infrastructure play, so the ideal case would be, in 5 years we have a robust, diverse group of L3s running in the Hemi chain builder ecosystem. We have a ton of dApps that are making use of HVM and basically able to deliver higher quality, more secure Bitcoin native DeFi versus what the rest of the ecosystem provides. More liquidity, more dApps, more protocols, more cross-chain interconnectivity. I think looking more broadly at the space, there's kind of this, it's kind of like that old joke, there's 14 different protocols and none of them talk to each other. I know, we'll make one protocol that communicates with all the other protocols. Problem, there are now 15 protocols that don't talk to each other. And so I think crypto's in sort of that mid state right now where, originally we had all these monolithic chains that were completely independent. You had, Bitcoin and Litecoin and then Ethereum, and none of them talk to each other in any way. Now we have, we've seen a bunch of different approaches to cross-chain interoperability come out and be adopted for various use cases. And while they're serving those use cases well, and there's been iterations and improvements, and they become more decentralized, more auditable over time, we're now at the point where, in my opinion, we're going to start seeing consolidation because, right now there's, 10 different ways to get 10 different assets from Ethereum to 10 different chains. And I think there's going to be consolidation in, there's probably going to end up being basically two types of cross-chain infrastructure. There's going to be, ecosystem native. So, what does Optimism do for interoperability within the Optimism ecosystem? What does Hemi do for interoperability within the Hemi chain builder ecosystem? So on and so forth. And then there's going to be, how do those, ecosystems that are themselves very tightly coupled, how do they interoperate with other ecosystems on very different tech stacks? And I think long term, we're going to see probably just one or two winners of the, kind of ecosystem connectivity rather than all the solutions that we have today. And I think that's going to lead to, better cross-chain experiences, better end user experiences, which is a huge part of onboarding users into DeFi. And the hope is that Hemi, with a lot of the cool stuff we can do for interoperability between, mutual Bitcoin finality, between all of the chains and chain builder, cool stuff that we're have on the roadmap for, tightly integrated shared sequencing and DA systems that are powered by the Hemi base layer and people staking in it. Eventually, improve versions of native Bitcoin staking. I think with all those and being able to use that sort of a system for economic security for chains where that makes sense as the economic security backing for either their consensus protocols or cross-chain liquidity or whatever. Would definitely like to see Hemi be a very cohesive ecosystem for internal interoperability and then plug into a very robust framework that I think is going to evolve sort of organically in the ecosystem for the crypto ecosystem for that cross, chain ecosystem interoperability. So once we finally get there, I think we will have finally connected all the chains in all the ways that people want without, bloat and redundancy. And I think that'll be sort of the, Cambrian explosion moment for finally, widespread, retail adoption of crypto, institutional adoption of crypto using, a few common protocols. Everything's going to settle to the TCP, quote unquote, of, blockchain technology. So look, refocusing on Hemi a bit, this definitely isn't the 5-year outlook, but hopefully, the 1 or 2 year outlook is having a super secure, extremely extremely capital efficient, non-custodial Bitcoin system that not only brings Bitcoin on chain to Hemi, but brings it through Hemi to the broader Ethereum ecosystem and replaces basically the centralized custodianship versions of Bitcoin that are currently being used in DeFi today and currently, creating adoption hurdles, custodianship risk concerns, all that for Bitcoin usability in DeFi. It's sort of ironic because you have the most decentralized, secure digital asset, which is Bitcoin. And then right now, in most cases, whenever you bring it on-chain into DeFi, it becomes one of the most, centralized, least trustworthy assets. And so I think that's, looking at the next 12, 18 months in the crypto ecosystem, anything that improves that is a huge opportunity. And that's something that with Hemi, we're uniquely positioned for, because with cross-chain interoperability, basically your assets are only secure as the weakest link in that chain. And so even if you have, an amazing BitVM implementation, if you're still a Bitcoin siloed, then the way that eventually gets carried over into the Ethereum ecosystem, it's that last mile that is still vulnerable, is still relying on something that, say, devolves into a, centralized relayer network or something of the like. And with Hemi's, unique position being natively connected to Ethereum, natively connected to Bitcoin, that lets us bring Bitcoin not only securely to Hemi, but once we get, the BitVM or HBitVM system up and running, it lets us take that Bitcoin and bring it into the Ethereum ecosystem with a, basically industry-leading security from the point of origination on Bitcoin itself all the way through to getting it onto Ethereum and getting it into other Ethereum L2, L3 ecosystems. So I think that's a huge opportunity that we really want to lean into, past BitVM getting deployed and bringing that Bitcoin on-chain very securely, very capital efficiently to Hemi itself. Bit of a rambling answer, and I can stay on for another few minutes, but hopefully that covers the 5-year outlook.
I think that did, sir. All right, so real quick, it says, what is Max's EVM address? That's from Alex, I believe, regarding the hair token. So if you guys can connect,
I do owe you one. I'm sorry. Yep. It's been on my to-do list, and it's not gotten done.
Also, the frequently asked questions. What the hell is that? And I'll just ask one quick pop mining question. Is it possible to use SegWit transactions for pop mining?
Not currently. So I think we covered this briefly last week. Basically, the way the Hemi protocol is currently designed is the way that it does the pop payouts is it extracts or basically converts your Bitcoin public key, which gets revealed as part of doing a transaction. It converts that to an EVM address, and that's where it sends the rewards on the Hemi chain to that EVM address derived from your public key, which corresponds to your Bitcoin private key, which gets revealed as part of creating and signing a Bitcoin transaction. And so with SegWit, it works a little differently. And so if you were to do a SegWit pop transaction, right now the Hemi protocol can't convert any sort of revealed public key into the EVM equivalent. So there's no way for the Hemi network to know where to pay you out to. That is something we do want to improve in the future, because there are some efficiency bonuses, somewhere in the order of, I want to say 20-ish% that you can get by using SegWit, because you're basically using less on-chain data on Bitcoin, so you're paying, smaller fees because you're posting less data. So it is something we want to do. It's not a super high priority, but it is an optimization we want to make. And there's basically 2 ways to solve it. Either A, do something specific with the SegWit or some sort of tap script construction, which you could do with like a tap script commit reveal phase as like a one-time registration, or something of that, like to register an EVM address, or you could have an on-chain registration on Hemi inside the EVM, where you register a SegWit or a Taproot address and associate that with an EVM address for payouts. So it's a future protocol improvement that we do want to make that would enable that. But at the moment, if you do a pop transaction with SegWit, it will not be recognized and you will not get a payout for it because of that missing public key reveal.
All right. How are you on time? Do you have time for one more? Oh, actually, Josh has a follow-up to that. It's in chat. Oh my God. How the hell do I say that? With get raw transaction, I get I'm not even going to attempt this word, TXIN witness field, where the second item is the public key for P2WPKH. Different location than for transaction with a legacy address, but I think it's there. It wasn't intended for me to read. Oh, sorry, Josh. Well, I'm in the middle of it now. So, would it be possible but just not supported currently. And
it would be possible. The issue with that is sort of like a pay to script hash address from the pre-SegWit days. There's a lot of stuff that can be inside of a script, and so you could create a SegWit or tap script address that basically is not backed by a public-private key pair. You could instead do one that's backed by some other challenge or multi-sig construction or whatever. And so if we were to support SegWit just by extracting, assuming we could extract a public key from the witness data, that would work, but it would only work when users follow a very specific format for how they generate their SegWit or tap script addresses. And if they don't do that, then they wouldn't be able to claim their rewards. So we want to do a more general solution that would let people use any custom spend script they want as part of their SegWit or tap script address and still get the payouts associated, whether they're using a public key in there, whether they're using a some other script that gives them better custodianship security or whatever. So yes, possible, but you get edge cases where people make addresses that don't follow the standard. If you go into Unisat wallet and you generate a SegWit address, it's generated in a certain format that is strictly tied to a public-private key pair, but it wouldn't work for other SegWit and tap script addresses that don't follow that standard single public key convention. And so if we do put in a solution for that, we want it to cover any sort of tap script or SegWit address that users create, rather than just being limited to the standard public-private key construction. So yes, it would be possible, but it would limit it versus a registration system where you could use basically any script underlying your address that you create. So that's also the reason we don't support pay to script hash addresses.
All right. How are you on time? It's 37 past the hour.
Pretty good. Probably got to run in 5-6 minutes.
Okay. How many pop miners are currently running on mainnet, and what is the ideal number?
I'm not sure the latest. As of I think a week ago when I was doing some spot checking, there were between 5 and 10 active pop miners, depending on the keystone you looked at. The target for mainnet will be 4 pop publications per keystone, and I differentiate that between 4 pop miners per keystone versus publications, because the payouts are based on publications, whether or not each one of those is done by an individual miner. So pedantic note there. But the target's going to be 4 for mainnet when we update the payout logic. So again, for now, it just goes and distributes 100 pop points each keystone amongst anyone who did a pop transaction that got into Bitcoin in time. And then the future version is going to be that retargeting rewards based around that target of 4 pop publications. So if it got 6 pop publications, there's an oversimplification, but if it got 6 instead of 4, it reduced the reward by 33%. If it got 2 instead of 4, it would increase the reward by 50%, so on and so forth, reaching equilibrium based on fluctuations in the Bitcoin fee market, Bitcoin price relative to the rewards being paid out for pop mining, so on and so forth. So it won't strictly be that multiplier just based on the last round. It's a smoothed average, but that's the basic intuition behind the mechanic.
All right. One last one. Is the migration from EVM to RISC-V for ETH's L1 going to be problematic?
Well, Ethereum's staying EVM, so Ethereum's not going to make a breaking change to the virtual machine itself. I'm not sure what exactly the RISC-V comment is referring to. There's different people working on different EVM or different smart contract VM systems that use different architectures. There's people working in other chains on implementing a RISC-V VM or something similar rather than the EVM. I think it's I want to say a RISC-V with extra opcodes that are relevant to, smart contract VM introspection. Joshua just posted a link. Proposing to replace Ethereum EVM with RISC-V. Okay, that's the first I've heard about Ethereum trying to do that. I do not think that is going to happen, or if it does happen, it'd be introduced as some sort of a parallel system. EVM, swapping out the underlying, VM mechanic is a very easy way to break a lot of things. So I'd have to read up more on what exactly that proposal is. That is news to me, but I would not worry much about that right now.
Yeah, Max, it was actually, so I read a little more about it, and it's less of a proposal and more of a proposal for there to be a proposal.
So like an announcement for an announcement?
Yeah. It was very much Vitalik just sort of spitballing and saying, maybe we could do, it's like, hey, Ethereum needs better scaling and some other things, so maybe we could do RISC-V, and maybe we'd have them both work parallel. Maybe we'd have a transition period. Maybe we'd do one or the other. But yeah, it is so far in the speculative thing. It's, yeah, that's about as far as you can get. It's, and even if they did it, how many, EVM opcodes does an L2 really need to function directly to, post data onto the L1? We need that. That would be the stuff, even if they, through some magic, did it tomorrow. We only need some of those things to keep working, and we need the same ones that Optimism and literally every other L2 needs. So I'm not too worried for what it would do for Hemi, if it even happens in my lifetime.
Yeah, I would agree. Skimming through this, I don't think any of this is going to be seeing the light of day anytime soon, if at all. But were it to happen and there was some clean transition process, Ethereum can't go and break tons of legacy contracts that are compiled to an old EVM system. So either they need some completely bulletproof, transpiler that converts all of the deployed, contract bytecode over to RISC-V and is completely fault tolerant or fault free. And if that were the case, then it wouldn't really matter from our perspective, other than, like most other L2s, we would probably try to make the same transition to stay compatible with the EVM toolkit. But the important part for Hemi's connectivity to Ethereum is the settlement contracts on Ethereum. And so whether, whatever underlying VM implementation there is, for sure Solidity is still going to compile to it. And it would really be about that transition period of, legacy quote unquote contracts being transpiled to the new architecture. But yeah, I would be surprised if this ever happens. If it does happen, it'll definitely be, years until something like that big of a change would get implemented, because there's so much risk of breaking things with edge cases.
All right. I think that's all the Max and John Greenwood specific questions we have. So, gentlemen, you're obviously free to hang out, but you are in Dubai and probably have other obligations in which we can end your tour of duty if you'd like.
All right, sounds like I don't even know where I'm going, but John does, so I'll I'll defer to him on that.
All right, sounds good. Thank you guys both so much for joining today. We really appreciate it. Have an incredible conference, and please don't ask anyone when intern, as he alluded to on Twitter.
Oh man! All right, awesome. Thanks everyone.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Talk soon.
Take care, gentlemen. All right, engineering team. Now we reach the point in the AMA where it all falls apart because I have to try to ask you technical questions in which everyone will probably laugh at me. That's fine. I'll start easy with stuff I actually understand. What is the builder's role, and how can I get it? Not everyone at once now.
All right. I will answer about the builder's role. The builder's role is basically access to an extra channel in Discord where you have more direct access to, the engineers who are building Hemi and other builders. So it's for people who want to build, so not just trade tokens around, trade coins around, but actually build something on the network. Build something that uses the network, just hackers, builders, developers, people like that. If you're one of those, run the command that Joshua just shared.
All right. Now, here's a question that is, I know, on my mind, and I know on your mind, John. I assume a lot of other folks. When dark mode, please.
We have one of our front end people here. We've got Gonzalo. I'll put you on the spot for a second there.
Yeah, I was thinking about the response. Actually, I guess it will depend on one of our designers to design the dark mode, but it's on our queue. It will be implemented somewhere this year.
That is incredible and a huge sigh of relief from all of us who love dark mode. All right. This is a generalized question to all of you. What is the most exciting thing the Hemi team is currently working on?
Okay, well, I'll go and then someone else can go. I think the most exciting stuff is, where any of the places where we're actually looking deeply into the connections between Bitcoin and Ethereum. So, there's all the existing BitVM and similar things, and anything in that realm is just super cool. Like anything that involves worrying about script on the Bitcoin side or provability on the Ethereum side, just being vague and incoherent, but that is the best and least mechanical stuff, at least in my book. Someone else want to add?
Well, I'll go after. So after the portal launch, we are more like in maintenance mode. So it's not that we are developing an exciting feature at least for this exact week, but we are doing some performance improvements. And as I'm a developer, I always find really interesting on how to tune and profile the applications to craft great experiences. So what we're trying to do is to improve the app so it loads faster and works with better interactions in all internet connections. So it's really exciting to work on that.
All right, great answers. Does anyone else want to go, or do you want to move to the next one? We're going to move to the next one. All right. How can ZK proofs benefit Hemi?
All right. I will take that unless someone else desperately wants to. I mean, it benefits Hemi there's two parts. One is it's anything that gives us another, building block. So if we can make either some version of that available or anything like that, any building block that we can add to Hemi is something that all of you people, and by you people I mean the ones who use the builder role, will be willing to, let me start that over. Anything that we add to Hemi is another building block that people who get the builder roles can go and use to build whatever shit you're going to build on Hemi. So it helps right there in ways that I don't know because I don't know what you're going to build. And that's good. I want you to build some other, really cool things. And I want to be surprised. But then it's also good for us internally because, it's another block that we can use for, improving the way we do things like, when you've got challenge games or the various things in the Bitcoin tunnel can be done better. Or at least we have other options for how to do all of those if we have ZK proofs.
All right. Thank you for that. How can I run a Hemi node?
Does someone want to paste the GitHub link to the node running.md file? Because awesome. That file is how you do it. You can thank Clayton for the good parts of that and blame me for the bad parts of it.
Noted. Can we should we actually, Josh, this is a question for you. Should we put that in the official links?
Probably.
All right.
Depends how many people are actually interested in running nodes, I suppose.
All right. Well, we can totally look into that. How much does it cost per day to run a pop miner?
Well, in terms of resources, almost nothing. In terms of Bitcoin, I don't actually know what Bitcoin's price is right now, even, so I couldn't. Joshua, you were looking at numbers recently. You might have a better idea.
Yeah, so I calculated it recently, if I can share that. What was it? So currently the Keystone time on mainnet, I believe, is every 5 minutes. So there is around 288 keystones per day, which pop miners can broadcast transactions for, with a fee of usually around 3 satoshis. It comes to about 852 satoshis per transaction. So if you take the amount of the cost per transaction times it by 288, you end up with the cost per day of running a pop miner, essentially. Currently, that is around 0.0024 BTC per day.
And I'd say that's an exercise left to the reader to multiply that by the current price of Bitcoin.
Yes. I'm certainly not going to do it. Just for the record. Oh, Josh put it in chat. Okay. So it's around $227.92 per day, and that's an approximate estimate. But
and very sensitive on Bitcoin's price, which I don't know what it is today, and I'm a happier person when I don't check every day.
Same. Not like I have a lot, but the little bit I have still gives me more anxiety than it should. How can I contribute to the development of Hemi? Not me. This is a question.
If you're a TypeScript developer or a JavaScript developer, the portal code is open source, so there are always issues which are good for newcomers or for people starting in the repo. So that's a way to contribute in the development, at least on the front end side.
And if you're a Go developer, there's the Hemi network repo that you can look at. Starting by running a node is a very important first step to trying to contribute anything to the network repo. So in terms of stuff you've had to run beforehand, the front end is, that you don't have that bar for the front end, although obviously the work in the front end is, just as high. The standard that we apply there, or that Gonzalo and company apply there, is just as high. It's just you wouldn't have to have run such a big thing first, to be sure. But either one, on both sides, we want you to try. Opening an issue is also a big, positive contribution, as long as it's a good issue. Meaning you give us enough detail that we know what you're talking about.
Awesome. And some very helpful links were posted in chat as well. Josh, did I miss anything? Is that the end of questions?
I think that is actually all of them.
Okay. Well, if we do not have any further questions, I can thank our engineering team for joining us and pinch hitting today for our Dubai peeps. Oh, hold on. Here we go. Why Hemi took Absinthe instead of making their own dashboard?
I'm going to assume you mean. I assume that they mean Absinthe the thing rather than Absinthe the drink.
Yeah, I'm the point. The point is
I would rather
not the booze.
I would rather the booze than writing a dashboard. Also,
Well, yeah, I mean clearly,
but no, I think it's always a case of if there's something off the shelf where they have experience doing it versus the amount of time and just people we would need to do it. Sometimes you have to go with off the shelf and hope for the best. We have a small team and we are doing a lot of things. So, it's just not possible to write everything yourself from scratch. Even
Totally
though,
solid.
engineers and hackers, we want to. There's always that desire to be like, oh, I can, start building this and then I'm going to build that. And it just keeps going. And before you know it, you haven't accomplished anything because you were trying too many things. So that is the, sort of completely accurate non-answer.
We'll allow it. Let me see. It's just some meme questions. All right. Well, with that, we can wrap up this portion of Midweek with Max and slide into the chaos. I want to thank Gonzalo, Tony, Clayton, John, and Joshua, who I hope is still sticking around because otherwise I might have a mentee be. For joining us today and pinch hitting for our Dubai peeps. So thank you all. We really appreciate your time. Obviously, you're welcome to stay for the ensuing chaos, but no obligation. Anything else you guys want to say to the Amigos and Amigas?
I'll just say one more time. If you're a builder, get on that builder roll. We want you there. We want you to build stuff. We want to see what you come up with. So do it.
Hell yeah. And John is the reason we can all say shit now, by the way. Just for the record. See, that's a good... No, the intern is not in Dubai. He really wanted to go, but there's no reason for him to be there, or honestly anywhere else but Twitter. I mean, if we're being completely sincere about this. All right. Well, I guess it's community time. So if you have any community-related questions that haven't been... Oh, God. It's not karaoke time yet, Anubis. We'll close with that. I guess the two big things are... we had over 150 plus entries. I didn't count all of them, but between Twitter and the contest page, 150 plus for the 3 Comma Club contest. Congratulations to Gladdy and Foxstar, who racked up something like 26 and 19 likes. And I'm not sure which was which. I believe Fox got 26. And added yet another Infinity Stone to his roll gauntlet, which is absurd, for the record. The guy literally has everything. It's crazy. We are still, as a team, voting on the third winner. So everyone you see on stage right now, Gonzalo, John, Clayton, Tony, Josh, please cast a vote in the general channel on Slack. There's a lot of stuff to go through. I've already gotten some results back from some folks. Not going to share that, obviously, but once we have a winner, we will announce it. And just know that the reason it's taking so long is because there's so many entries and so many good entries. A lot of inappropriate ones, but honestly, I'm here for the unhinged shit, so, rock and roll, buckaroos. Mythic roll /OG still in development. There's a lot of stuff on the back end regarding that. When it's ready, there will be an announcement, and we will get to it. No one has it, so if anyone's saying they have it, they're lying to you. So just be patient. When it happens, it'll happen. What's this? Assassin's Creed Shadows versus Ghost of... Ghost. The answer is Ghost on that. Easy. Trying to think what else. Next week, we're going to have another contest launching, and I can kind of spoil it. All right, well, Fox kind of spoiled it. It's going to be a meme Foxstar contest. Well, he's one of our moderators. He has, he's accumulated almost every role so far. And we want to see your best and most unhinged memes regarding Foxstar. Please don't make them all Thanos. That's not, go for originality on this. Wait, what did you say, Josh? I saw someone trying to sell the Hemithic roll. We're not no, guys. We're not selling rolls. What the All right, hold on. I gotta remember what profanities I can use and what I can't. Okay, what the hell? Yeah, please don't do that. Don't fall for anything. Like, again, safety checkup. If it's not announced on our Discord, our socials, or our official pages, it's complete bullshit. Okay, so like the people selling the fake Hemi tokens and all that nonsense, that's not real. Just please see our safety portion of Discord, review that if you need to, and when in doubt, ask a moderator. Our team and our mods will not DM you unless like we know you personally, and even then we won't do it. So please don't fall for stuff because it's very scammy out there. And it's actually kind of gross. I'm trying to think what else. We have irons in the fire for games and some other exciting things, but again, I don't have the information to share that yet. But just know cool stuff is coming sooner than later. It'll be before TGE, and before anyone asks, TGE is before GTA 6. As Max said, we don't have a concrete date for that yet. Alpha, the answer is Elden Ring, by the way. I think that's all I got this week. Let's see. Oh, I know Alex said that the hair token is launching soon. He's got some stuff figured out, or he's figuring out some stuff. I can't even talk. So that's super exciting. Am I missing anything? Josh, is there anything I'm missing that you can think of? Oh, next week the hair token's deployed. That's super exciting. Okay, we'll make an announcement and a big deal about that. Oh, you know what? All right, so Alex, if you do end up connecting with Max and the hair token does get deployed, I'll push the Foxstar meme contest a week, and we can do like a full-on like hair token meme contest. Just give me the go, and we can do that. Just to get a little more hype behind it and more visibility for the Amigos Atal. But yeah, I think that's really all we got this week. Super busy behind the scenes. So unless someone wants to kind of quickly try to get the Rap God roll, we are going to wrap this up a little earlier than usual. So if you want to sing a little something, say it in the next 30 seconds in chat, or we will hit it hard next week. Clayton, are you volunteering? Because if so, I'm here for it.
What do I have to do? Do I have to rap that thing? Do I get like a beat or a music?
You can put on a beat in your headphones. But really,
No,
yeah, you're just gonna acapella it.
No. I want to hear you. It's I've heard good things.
All right. Well, now everyone's heartbroken. At some point, though, you should just come up and slay the mic. It'll be great. Okay, yeah. Let's see. Maybe in the future we can convince some of the engineering team to attempt to get the Rap God roll. But today is not that day. So with that, we're going to wrap things up. Thank you to our community, all of you. Thank you to our community moderators for absolutely crushing it out there and keeping myself and Josh to a degree sane. And thank you to our awesome engineering team and Max and John Greenwood, who are over in Dubai. Yeah. Thanks so much, all. And we'll see you in Discord. I'm going to go now.